Hush.
And returning mayor, Steve Napper.
Thank you. We'll have a call to order with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Oliphant. Here. Roush.
Here.
Hush.
Here.
Gale.
Here.
Delaney.
Here. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Roush,
I'll second it.
second by Gale. All in favor?
Aye.
At this point, we'll have public comment. There's a limit of 3 minutes per person on agenda items and local government issues. Seeing none. Number 6, we have a mayor's proclamation on Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month, and we have Julie Ulrich in presence for the proclamation.
Would you like me to read it, Mr. Mayor?
That would be nice.
City of Cascade Proclamation for Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month. Whereas human trafficking is the use of force, fraud, and coercion to compel a person into commercial sex acts or labor services against their will, exploitation of a minor for commercial sex is human trafficking, regardless of whether any form of force, fraud, or coercion was used. Whereas one of the world's fastest growing crimes is the buying and selling of people, whose growth has been accelerated in recent years due to an increase in other social injustices such as abuse, domestic violence, racism, stigmatism, and more. Communities in rural Iowa are seeing a significant increase in the number of children victimized by labor trafficking, especially children coming to the U.S. from Central America. And whereas there is a large disparity between the number of persons victimized by this horrific crime and the number of persons prosecuted as offenders, with more than 661 victims receiving services in Iowa's direct service programs in 2022, and only 3 individuals being convicted in Iowa federal courts for human trafficking, and 4 in Iowa's state appellate courts. And whereas even though awareness of this crime is growing, human trafficking continues to go missed and vastly unreported. And whereas every business, community organization, faith community, family, and individual can make a difference by working to protect the vulnerable within their sphere of influence, by addressing the problem of internet sex trafficking, choosing products that are not made by forced labor, and by becoming more aware of the problem and possible solutions. And whereas the City of Cascade joins Chains Interrupted in their dedication to providing community outreach and education, legislative advocacy, training, promotion of services to survivors of human trafficking, and collaboration with law enforcement. And now therefore be it resolved, I, Mayor Steve Napper, Mayor of Cascade, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the month of January as Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month, and encourage all of our citizens to become more informed of this growing problem, to be vigilant and report suspicious activity, and to work towards solutions to end trafficking in all of its forms in our community. For assistance with this, reach out to Chains Interrupted at 319-364-0222. If you see something that doesn't look right, reach out to the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888. Dated this 8th day of January 2024 by our Mayor, Steve Napper.
Thank you.
Picture of it. Do you guys have anything to say?
Do you have a statement if you're going to say? Yes, another picture. Thank you to the City of Cascade for declaring January Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month. Your commitment to raising awareness is a powerful testament to your commitment to the citizens in this community. Fostering a community dedicated to prevention and empowering citizens to stand against this hideous crime contributes significantly to the fight against human trafficking. Thank you again for your leadership and dedication to creating a safer and more informed community for our children and grandchildren. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to come up here for a picture?
Oh, sure.
Can we just stand?
Sorry, I have a cold.
Take it off
I
the
am
picture?
going to take it off the picture.
Yeah.
gonna go
You want me to take those? You can get in there?
No, I'm good.
I think that would be good.
I think it would be good.
I think that, yes.
Yep, would be great.
Good job. Get over it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, cheese. That's all.
Thank you.
No.
No, I mean, just,
Well, I know Flash on a normal phone, but yeah.
no, I mean, like, yeah, it used to
Julie.
used to be, no, I will pop.
Really?
It's one shot from all the background. Before that, they liked this sulfur stuff and, not even back in the 1890s. It actually light up.
Steve was good.
Yeah, that's when Steve was
Excuse me?
taking photographs.
Oh, yeah.
We had flash bulbs.
The one that
the
does that
squares.
poof thing?
Riley said they used to use those needles with the
Oh, yeah.
sulfur, whatever.
That was you.
That makes smoke?
Yeah,
That one?
back in the 1890s.
You guys are bad. Do we need Lisa here?
For the consent agenda, do you?
Consent agenda, minutes, city council, 12/11/23 and 12/27/23, park board, 12/4/23, library board, 12/12/23, utility board, 12/13/23, January 8th, 2024 claims, and December 2023 financial reports, annual liquor renewal, Cascade Columbus Club, the KCs. If there's no questions, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion by Oliphant,
Second.
second by Hush, all in favor? Aye. At this point, we will open a public hearing for the Highway 136 South reconstruction. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to go out of regular session into public hearing.
Motion by
Second.
Roush, second by Delaney. Roll call.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Ready? Good. All right. So in your packet, you have lots of information about the project. Cody was our main designer for MSA, who's not normally here. And then, of course, everybody knows Jake, who does all of our engineering projects. So they're both here to answer any questions that you have. Our main purpose of tonight is to make sure that the council understands the project, is comfortable with it, and the main direction that is coming for this evening's action would be to direct the staff to get an ad in the paper, which is 3 weeks prior to the deadline for bids. The bids would be due on February 7th, with enough time then for staff to review and bring it before the council at that first meeting in February. Of course, one of our timelines that we explained is this is the best time of year to be getting bids, when people are still looking for their springtime work. We did have some questions from the citizens that we tried to do our due diligence to answer. There were concerns. Remember that we had the public hearing because we have 12 properties that need to, that we are requesting easements, temporary limited easements, for the main purpose of being able to complete sidewalk replacement for everybody, which the DOT agreed to pay for. So instead of having to wait for different, either it to be damaged during construction or to be assessing that like we normally would to the property owners, everyone on the corridor there that has sidewalks currently will be getting new sidewalks. The main concern that people had out there was going from the, on the north end, it's, sort of a hybrid of a 4-lane. And then that's going down to 3 lanes, like our First Avenue that people have really become accustomed to. The DOT pushes for that conversion in certain circumstances from 4 to 3 because of the safety factors. And when the citizens came to that public hearing, they had talked about either going down to 2 lanes or staying at 4 lanes. We don't believe that the DOT would approve that, but they won't tell you that in advance. They basically want you to redesign it so that they're answering an actual question on a yes or no to a complete redesign. So in order to get an answer, if we would be allowed to do that, we'd have to basically pause everything, completely redesign the project, submit it to the state, and the only way that we can have the funding that we currently have approved is to get everything out in June. But then if you look at the downside, even if we could try to kind of ramrod everything through, which I don't think is wise to try and ask these guys to physically get it done in that time, I don't think they could, but even if they could, then we're bidding something out in the middle of summer, and as we know, like, that doesn't always work well definitely will not work well for pricing. So in order to try and be respectful of the citizens' request, we did ask for those white lines to be approved by the DOT that are like First Avenue to kind of pull traffic away from the curb. They did okay those white lines. The citizens also asked about the width of that center lane. SUDAS standards have that center lane wider than the driving lanes. There's a few points above, but basically rounding off to 14 in the middle and 12-foot driving lanes. And so we really don't want to encourage that we're going to set our own standards here and ask the DOT to go against what SUDAS standards would be. So we think that we can work with everybody and that they will get used to it. The other thing that if you read the packet, I did create a resolution. It is not our decision whether or not we can lower the speed limit, but certainly the appropriate step if we want to at least have the DOT consider. When you drive out of town, when you get right past 4th and 5th, which is that kind of wonky intersection that's really wide and thick there, kind of straight across from the park, it immediately goes to 45 there. So when you're going past that house before the medical clinic and Bard and past the driveway of the park, it is 45 miles an hour there. And then at the bottom of the hill, if you're coming into town, it doesn't turn to 35 until the bottom of the hill. So when you're picking up speed, still going 45 miles an hour, and at the bottom of the hill, it is pretty fast there. It's currently 30 on the south end, so I don't think we can go down to 25, but we could see if they would be willing to keep 35 to the top of the hill instead of having that hilly portion. So basically, in city limits would be 35, and then when you get out of town, it can be 45. Whether or not they'll think that, you know, again, a lot of their analysis is engineering based, it's not just emotionally based, and so they may say that the standards don't warrant that. But I think it would be a good faith effort on behalf of the city council to request that and at least see. And I think we're all supportive of making that ask. So don't know if there's any questions. Like I said, Cody and Jake are here to answer them. If there aren't any questions, when we go out of closed session, there would be the two resolutions, one to proceed with bidding, and then the second, if the council wants to go on record, having us submit to the DOT that request to look at the speed.
I have one question. So it's regarding like a 3-lane versus 4-lane. Is that just kind of the standard that they're working towards, or why is that considered like safer versus?
I think a lot of it has to do with when there's a turning movement out of one of the lanes and it's semi-blind and someone goes around it and there's either pedestrian or oncoming traffic from the other way. We studied this before we converted First Avenue through town to the 3-lane, and it's generally supported across the state as a safer section.
Okay.
I'm not a traffic engineer, so all the ins and outs. I just know one of the main concerns when we converted First Ave was there were times when people were turning right or turning left, and then someone would zip around them, and I think there was some close calls. I don't know that there was any incidents, but some close calls with the pedestrians or other vehicles,
Okay.
which is what the city wanted to avoid. And it's generally supported by the DOT across the state. Conversions from those old 4-lane sections to 3 lanes.
I have a question, not necessarily Jake, but as council, to the council of the city. The water hookups, I know on First Avenue, every building was assessed $300 back when First Avenue was done. And I believe on Second Avenue, out towards Gary Owen as well, there was assessments, so we may want to be figuring out what our assessments will be, or if we're going to assess properties for water. from
So
the
when they
curb.
were assessing, were we replacing the entire, I don't know about that
If they
project.
needed to be upgraded, I think. Or
But
was
it's everybody's
everybody-
responsibility to do, like, it's their pipe to replace.
Mhm.
Like, it's their expense.
I just want to make sure that we're doing the same for this project as well.
But that's what I'm saying, what were you replacing? Do you know?
Yeah,
There was something about, I wasn't involved, but I remember a discussion, there's something, because the existing concrete underneath was thicker, so there was some concern about residents having to replace it at a later date, because it would be so much more expensive, because the underlying, there's like 10 inches under the asphalt on First Ave. And so I think the city sent notices out to all the residents, right, and said, now's a good time to do it. Here's your cost, the city will help chip in, because this is gonna be a lot more expensive later.
Yeah, I know, I'm on Pierce Street, which is not First Avenue, and they ran a main down, partway down Pierce Street,
Okay.
and there was like a $300 assessment there. And then I think on Second Avenue as well, I think we,
This was passed a year ago now.
yeah, up towards Gary.
So can you
Yeah.
explain what we're replacing, please, Jake?
Yeah, I was looking up how many services we're doing. Do you know off the top of the head how many we're doing, Cody?
Well, we're changing to that existing water goes along Highway 136, maybe removing that and just having the crossings on Second and Third Avenue. And I think there was just the one house on the corner, who we talked to at that public meeting.
So there will be no services on the new road. There's only one crossing. of the
We're
new-
abandoning an old 4-inch main that's underneath the
Okay.
highway, that the guys don't like going out there when there's breaks on that old main under the highway. So we're abandoning that and looping it in a different way, so it just goes across instead of along underneath the highway. And we have just one service that we have to do.
Okay, I just want to make sure the city's consistent with all these projects.
And we can look back, but I think
I
we
don't
were
remember
intended.
exactly what, I think Deanna sent out the bills on Second Avenue prior to her moving
I think
on,
so.
so I don't
Yeah,
remember exactly.
I didn't know we had that question, so we'll have to look at it.
Okay,
But I know that there's no actual services being replaced on the corridor that's being resurfaced.
okay.
Just the main will cross.
Any other questions?
I have one more question. Okay, so by Stahl's house, where there's that weird.
Yeah, intersection.
Water sits there quite a bit.
Yeah, there's gonna be some changes they can explain.
So we're reconfiguring that intersection quite a bit.
Okay.
It'll actually look physically different. You won't be able to turn exactly at the same radius either.
So if you look on, towards the end of the design plans, you'll see kind of how that intersection's gonna lay out. And we have some, so it'll all be curbed and gutter.
Look up here and then maybe get Mike to the right page, and then you can show the council.
I think it's like 45-ish.
Quite a bit.
Or 47 maybe. 45. Try 47. I think that's the best view.
And if you wanna go up to the screen, Jake, if that helps.
Okay,
Right there.
so that's probably the best one right there. So instead of now, it's kind of a jumbled, this all just kinds of comes together. We're directing Fifth up to a square intersection and then bringing it over. So it'll clean it up quite a bit, and we have curb and gutter along here to direct the drainage to the south and get rid of that. Stormwater wise, it'll function a lot better than it does now. I remember driving through there when we were building the treatment plant, it does pond a lot better now. It'll be much improved.
Okay.
And isn't there also one of those beehives or something in their yard
To the north?
to the south of that curb? Didn't we have something in there?
I was thinking,
Roadway that kept, water right before the driveway. I don't believe there's,
I thought we talked about something in the yard, but maybe
I'm
not.
not sure.
north side there, but.
I think that's back in that alley just north of there.
Oh, yeah.
There was an area intake in that alley that we're putting back. We have 2 intakes, so it's kind of just off the screen to the south on Fifth. There's 2 intakes that we're adding there that'll catch everything. And
One more sheet down.
I think I cut that out.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Oh, yeah, right there. Yeah, Cody's correct. So those 2 intakes would be new, that would pick up all that drainage and direct it. There's a big existing box here, stormwater box where those twin 48s go across the levee. So all this stuff is being picked up here and directed to there, so it'll be much improved.
Any other questions for Jake and Cody? Thanks for all your hard work. Hopefully we
Thank you.
get interest. Come back in a month.
Fred, something too, when that gets there, we'll have to figure out how we want to sign that corner, because it's kind of a weird one, just like by the ambulance garage.
And there's a lot of traffic that goes out towards the campground.
Campers,
through there.
semis, everything.
A lot.
And we did use auto turn design software to make sure that that a truck coming from the south could make that right turn and go on to Fifth, because I know they like to go on Fifth over to Buchanan, so it'll function.
Okay.
And that design software is on the conservative side, so usually a good driver should not have any trouble.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. It's good to see you all again.
See ya.
Jake.
You as well. It's been a while.
I need a motion to close public
I
hearing.
think he's coming up to speak.
Oh,
I think he's
sorry.
coming up to speak.
Nope.
I got a question. Earlier in your comments, you said you're moving the white line in further. How far from the back of the curb to the white line will the white line be placed?
2.5.
Just like it is on First.
Okay. And the other question I have, basically for the council members, with such a dramatic change in functionality of the roadway going south of town, which is now basically a 4-lane, I realize it's substandard. Was there ever any public meetings held for input from the citizens saying, we want a 3-lane, or make it 2-lane, and make the boulevards wider to keep the traffic away from the houses on both sides? I know that's one big concern that all the residents, I'm assuming, had at the previous meeting we had when they were asking us to sign off on easements. So was there ever any input from the citizens?
I think
to
the
go?
initial plan came right from the DOT was first, because that's the standard that they're going to. That was the initial plan that came out.
I know we've discussed it at previous
Yeah.
meetings, but I don't recall ever there being.
It's been on the council agenda more than once, but I don't know that we ever sent mailers to residents.
No,
to
you did
invite
not.
them to the council.
So I think that's something, and this is probably the last project that'll happen that's going out of town on the highway. But keep that in mind for future projects, that if you're going to take a 4-lane out, shove traffic next to the houses, I think the majority of the citizens would like to see the traffic stay right where it's at. And either widen out the boulevards, or else put a bike path down the side, on both sides. Because there is a park on the south end of town, and kids either ride bikes on the sidewalk or in a pedestrian way. Thanks.
Thank you.
Can other people speak to that as well? That center lane, that turn lane, nobody's driving 45 miles an hour in there. They're sitting waiting to turn, right? I don't think that needs to be so wide. And I was coming on my bike and got yelled at by somebody from out of town because the quote-unquote bicycle lane, the guy perceived it as a bicycle lane, coming into town was too narrow. And I said, I don't even think they intended it to be a bicycle lane. So you
No.
might look at that, because people, I mean, I remember the discussion and I thought I was really in favor of it. But people perceive that white lane in that space as a bicycle lane.
Thank you. Anything else? If nothing, I need a motion to close public hearing.
Make a motion to close public hearing.
Motion
Go back
by
to regular
Roush.
session.
Second.
Second by Oliphant, roll call.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Number 10, consideration of resolution number 4-24 to approve and confirm the plan specs and estimate for Highway 136 South reconstruction and direct the solicitation of bids. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Motion by Delaney,
Second.
second by Gale, roll call.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Number 11, consideration of resolution number 06-24 to approve a request to IDOT to lower the speed limit on Highway 136 South.
I'll make a motion for resolution 06-24.
Motion by Oliphant,
I'll second.
second by Roush, roll call.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Number 12, presentation from
Thank you,
Bergen.
guys.
Thanks for giving us.
Thank you. Presentation from Bergen KDV for fiscal year '23 annual audit and it's presented by Dustin Opatz.
Dustin was going to join us tonight in person, and with the weather, he has a longer drive. So we are about to have him join us virtually, hopefully. And then, oh, there he is.
He's probably speaking.
Can you hear us?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep.
Beautiful. What works best? Should I share my screen with the PowerPoint, or do you have the paper copies in front of you and we can just flip through them?
I'm thinking you sharing the screen will work best.
Okay, let me do that quick.
Do you want to put the mic right by your laptop speaker? So maybe it picks up a little for the rest of the world.
How does that look? Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yep. Looks good.
Okay. Excellent. And hopefully everyone can hear me all right. I really appreciate your flexibility. We were supposed to get Snowmageddon in Des Moines, and I looked outside, there's nothing there. So, typical winter, right?
Yep.
Make all these best laid plans. So I appreciate your flexibility. I hope to be there in person next year. But yeah, so this is the 2023 audit presentation. My name is Dustin Opatz. I'm a manager with Bergen KDB. And if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to stop me. I have such a passion for city finance that if nobody stops me, I will just blow through the whole presentation. But if you don't want to interrupt me, we can catch any questions at the end too. So the first thing I wanted to go through is the different reports that we issue. The first one being the independent auditor's report. This is essentially what the city pays us for, to issue an opinion on your financial statements. So if you do look at that independent auditor's report, it starts by saying it's your responsibility as management to prepare the financial statements, and it's our responsibility as your auditor to come in and test, examine, and express an opinion on those financial statements. So we do express an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion we're allowed to give as your auditors. It provides assurance that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. We issue a second report called the Government Auditing Standards Report. So because of your level of grants that you receive, we are required to look a little bit closer at your compliance with laws, contracts, grant agreements, and internal controls. And so we did have one significant deficiency, which is a mid-level finding in our world for a lack of segregation of accounting duties. It's the same finding at the same level that the city has received the past number of years from us, and it's just related to a limited number of office staff. The final thing I wanted to go through here is the Iowa Code of Compliance. So the state auditor gives us a ton of checklists looking for compliance with specific state statutes, and we did have two findings related to that test work. So the first one being a budget overage in one of your functions. So the state statute, the way it's written, it doesn't look at your budget to actual in total. It looks at it by function. And so if any of the individual functions are over budget, then we're required to put that in writing. And so your capital outlay function was over budget. And then the second one being, you had a couple of funds that had deficit fund balances, mainly in your tax increment fund and your capital project fund. Next, we'll look at the general fund. So total cash balance of the general fund did increase by about $204,000. Your unassigned fund balance is at $356,000. So of this $1.8 million, you have a ton of different funds that are assigned and earmarked for different projects, and then about $356,000 that is not assigned to anything, and theoretically is available for spending. And so that represents just over 20% of your current year expenditures, and your fund balance policy calls for an unassigned fund balance of about 20%. So right in line with your fund balance policy. This chart looks at receipts on a 5-year trend. So total receipts increased $371,000. Taxes and assessments increased related to an increase in the levy. Miscellaneous and investment income increased related to having a better performing investment market year, as well as receiving increased donations for park benches and a gazebo. Outside of this, you also did have transfers in from other funds of about $32,000. On the disbursement side, total disbursements increased about $80,000. Culture and rec increased related to an increase in pool activity for the summer and the related costs of that, as well as an increased amount of park projects. And then capital outlay disbursements, they actually did decrease by about $77,000 related to a larger library project in the prior year. The next two slides look at your enterprise funds, so your water and sewer. This first one looks at your operating income. So this is purely operating revenues less operating expenditures. It doesn't include debt service, it doesn't include capital projects, or transfers in and transfers out and bond proceeds and all of that non-operating stuff. Yeah, this is purely just operating revenues less operating disbursements on a 5-year trend. So if you look at the water fund, it still does have an operating income, but this is the lowest in the 5 years presented. So the reason for the decrease this year is related to having a full-time water employee, as well as increased purchases of supplies. And then outside of this activity, there were debt service costs of $56,000. On the sewer side, you had operating income of $509,000, which again is the lowest in the 5 years presented. This decrease in operating income was related to additional repairs at the wastewater treatment plant. And then outside of this operating income, there were debt service costs of $529,000 and transfers out of $364,000. So this slide looks what all that activity does to your cash balances, right? So the green bar being water, blue bar being sewer again. So the water fund cash did decrease year over year, just related to those increased operating costs. You'll see from 21 to 22, there was a pretty significant decrease, and that was related to the Second Avenue construction project. On the sewer side, that cash balance has been pretty consistent for the first 4 years of this graph, and then there was a significant dip this year. And so that significant dip was related to transferring out to capital project funds. So I know we touched on it last year, but you do have a couple of older capital project funds that are significantly negative. And so one of those was related to an old wastewater treatment plant project, if I remember correctly. And so the sewer fund did transfer out about $300,000 related to shoring that up and taking care of that. And so that's why you're seeing the large decrease this year. And so just to touch on those negative capital projects, last year the total of them combined was about $524,000, and then this year it's down to about $313,000. So I know it's something that Lisa's working hard on, and we talk about it at least annually, but yeah, I wanted to give you an update there. And that is the best way to get a hold of me. If you ever have questions throughout the year, I'm definitely here as a resource for all of you, but I'd be more than happy to take any questions that you have. I'll stop sharing my screen.
I know I ask pretty much every year. Dustin, do you have any recommendations or anything you're seeing in other small communities of what they're doing to kind of fix the issue of segregation of duties?
Did you catch
that? Yeah, it was related to segregation of duties in other small cities. Honestly, we give that finding in some level to 95% of our clients, big and small, and I would say 100% of our cities your size. So it's just it's more of a cost-benefit analysis. So it is at a significant deficiency level, which is a mid-level finding. So there are some compensating controls in a lot of the areas that there is lack of segregation, but it's just tough with a small staff to have as many hands as you need in every single transaction, and because the offset of that is you also want your operations to be efficient and cost beneficial, right? So it's always a balance between those two things. But I think since we started doing the audit, the staff have done a lot of work to put some additional controls in place so that we could lower the severity of the finding.
Are there any other controls that you've seen that you think we should implement?
That one I didn't catch.
Any other controls that you've seen in other cities that you think we should implement?
I don't believe so, and that's part of our annual conversation with city staff. If we do see like a cool internal control somewhere else that we think would be beneficial for the city, we do try to bring that up. Or if I know Lisa, since she started, she's been a big proponent of suggesting additional internal controls, and she's out. Yeah, we probably talk at least a couple times a year about additional internal controls that she's thinking about, and yeah, so I'd say it's very top of mind for city staff for sure, but it's something that we also look at a couple times a year too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I don't think so.
I'll add, I talked to Dustin and Andrew about this, but one of the things that I think is because we have two completely separate groups within the office with Matt and Chantal being on one side and Kathy and I on the other. I'd like to have a conversation if there are things that, like, because they have no control of our side and we have no control of their side, if there's things that we could double check so that if Kathy's going to the bank and like there's some eyeballing from like Chantal and then Chantal, something that she does, maybe Kathy eyeballs so that it's just another set. It doesn't mean that we like really get in, although we can get into, you know, viewing things on their side. I also don't know like what kind of things like, you know, we don't control the utilities like we normally would for water and sewer, you know, like they bill it on that side. But you could have something where, like, in order to adjust a bill, for example, because it does affect ours, even though it's on their side for controls, like, you could say, like, in order for someone's bill to be adjusted, like, who's signing off on it? Because we both get those deficiencies. So I think we could have conversations, you know, like Kathy does the payroll, she shows me all the reports, I sign off on them, she shows me the transfer of the bank. But there's certainly things, and that's kind of what Dustin's talking about, is what sorts of things can you do? And because we have 4, but we really only act as 2 groups of 2, I think that there could be some benefit to some sort of cross-check between the 2 sides.
Do you think at all, like, rearranging how the office is laid out would help with any of that? Like, if we almost flip-flop sides to have the city more in the middle and you guys on the, and the...
I mean, we talk about that, but I don't think that changes what stuff Dustin's talking about, no.
Okay.
I mean, we can, yeah, there's always conversations about that, but definitely not, that's not gonna change who's eyeballing what, you know, because that's what he's talking about, like, you know, Kathy does payroll, she does payables, she does receivables. I can get in the system, she shows me lots of stuff, but there's, you know, normally you would have like the person who receipts the money, never walks over to the bank, you know, like there's, in a bigger city, that's the kind of segregation that you would have more than we do here. And it's just not an option when you only have 2 people, so. Does that make sense, Dustin?
Yep, that all sounded good. But yeah, it's just, I just wanted to say it again that 100% of the cities your size receive that finding. So not anything that should, you know, be alarming or specific to Cascade, but more of a recognition that as a city council of a smaller city, you do have a kind of a greater responsibility for oversight than maybe a councilor at a larger city.
And I think too, it's all good till it's not. You know, everybody knows the last city that I was in and there was issues there. And when the auditor's office from the state, from Rob Sand's office came back, it was huge headline news that the city did nothing about their segregation of duties. And they, so like to the outside world, they were like, what, how did you not do this? And they have more staff than we do. But it was the same thing. It was like always a finding. So we all say it's always a finding, but you gotta make sure that you're doing stuff to prevent, obviously, fraudulent behavior by people. And so that's, because it was interesting to me.
To have more conversation about doing more.
Correct.
Or finding new ways.
Right, and just like the fact that, you know, like the mayor is not involved in the day-to-day, but as an extra check for us, like we don't, you know, some cities literally have stamps for signatures of checks, whereas Steve comes in and looks through every invoice after Kathy prepares the checks, like he goes through them, I go through them, Kathy has the invoices attached there so that we can, you know, be like reviewing that. So even that, you know, is at least for invoices that are getting paid, the mayor is also reviewing those. So we'll keep working at it.
Kathy, do you have anything to add or questions, feedback, anything?
No.
So Dustin was gonna bring the written, the printed copies, so obviously that, they'll have to ship them to us. And then I also have his PowerPoint that we just got, so we'll ship that off to the council in an email, just so you have it as well in front of you. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you again for your flexibility. Let me know if there's ever anything I can do for any of you. But have a great rest of your night.
Yep. appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Number 13, consideration to receive the fiscal year 23 annual audit as presented by Bergen KDV.
I'll make a motion to receive the fiscal year 23.
Motion by Roush,
Second?
second by Oliphant, roll call.
Delaney?
Aye.
Oliphant?
Aye.
Roush?
Aye.
Hush?
Aye.
Gale?
Aye.
Number 14, presentation from Greater Dubuque Development Corporation, presented by Jason White.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council, city staff. My name is Jason White. I serve as the Vice President of Business Services with Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. It's been a couple of years since I was here. Last year, our President and CEO, Rick Dickinson, presented, and I had a pinch hit for me. I had about a week of some kind of a mysterious illness, so I was out that week. So got a little bit different flavor from Rick, I'm sure. He's been with the organization somewhere between 25 and 30 years, and I moved back here from Oshkosh, Wisconsin in 2021. With that said, wanted to update you on a couple of things related to Cascade. First, I just want to start off by acknowledging the partnership that Greater Dubuque Development has with the city of Cascade and also the Cascade Economic Development Corporation. Been a source of pride for me since I came back, since I grew up in the western part of the county, and appreciative also of being able to attend the monthly meetings of the Cascade Economic Development Corporation. And if I'm not able to attend those meetings, then a member of our team does.
Hurry up.
Want me to pause?
No.
No, you're fine.
Kids goofing around.
Let me call Brad.
Yep. He's not working though, Riley, just so you know.
He's not.
For those people out there, we just had a incident in the hallway. That's why we're pausing here for a second.
I think so. I think that's got it.
Greater Dubuque has been around, Greater Dubuque Development has been around since 1986. But our mission has changed during that time to meet the needs of the community region and the state, or the community county and the region. Greater Dubuque Development principally does 4 things. The first 3 I'm involved with directly. One is that we manage an existing business program. We call that program Info Action, and this program remains one of the leading existing business contact programs among our peers in the state, and essentially it involves us making appointments with our companies, our leading business and industry, asking them 70, 80 questions, and then about a whole number of different things related to their market, their workforce, rating community services, et cetera. A copy of the last year's summary I stuck in our annual report there, so you can see the summary of the 305 visits that we performed, including Cascade, in the last fiscal year. We ask a lot of our employers when we do these visits. We set up the meetings with the company. We ask them to fill out the survey ahead of time, and then we meet with them. Sometimes they fill it out ahead of time, sometimes they don't. And then we come back to our shop, identify what things are that we need to follow up on, and then we formulate a plan to do so if there are things to follow up on, and then we send a summary report back to the employer. In the visits that we've had here in Cascade, there haven't been a lot of complaints, for example, with the city of Cascade. Otherwise, obviously, we would bring those to you. So businesses tend to be favorable to the climate that you've established here. But nonetheless, that if there are any issues, we do ask permission to follow up with you on those. Workforce Solutions, that's a twofold approach headed by one, Mandy Dolson. On the employer side, she's the former HR manager at Crown Cork in Seal and Dubuque. And also Nick Hockenberry on the nonprofit governmental education side. Workforce Solutions to us and the programs that we have ranges from accessdubukejobs.com, and now we have other domains, accesscascadejobs.com, and Opportunity Dubuque, our certificate training, which we fund. We doubled our funding commitment to that this year for hard-to-fill positions in our workforce. Career fairs, college student engagement, and newcomer programs as well. And then national marketing, which is a fancy way of saying business recruitment. And it involves certainly marketing and listing properties, but also preparing to attract business with the kind of infrastructure and product that we need to attract new business. And the last part is, the fourth one is strategic initiatives, so things like child care, which I'm going to talk about in a second, housing, broadband, and renewable energy. Our 2027 campaign, 2023 to 2027, is called You Can Be Great Here. It involves creating, retaining, and establishing the workforce that we need for the future, in large part. 5 goals. One is to increase the county's population to 105,000. Our current number is 98,677, so a very ambitious goal. Decrease the poverty rate by 5% through getting more people employed into the workforce. Third is increase the size of the county's employment base from 59,900, which is the baseline, to 65,000. We're currently at 60,800. Increase the median household income from 64,000 a year to 76,000 a year. We're currently at 73,495, and then add $1 billion in new capital investment from economic development and community development initiatives that we are involved in some way, and we're currently at $400 million. An area, as I mentioned before, that we've shown leadership is child care. And child care workers are among the lowest paid of all occupations. So helping the industry offer competitive wages while keeping child care costs affordable is the goal. Last year we started the Greater Dubuque Child Care Professional Attraction Grant. A new child care worker is eligible for $1,000. The individual must secure employment at a child care center that is also an investor in Access Dubuque, accesscascadejobs.com. Ackland Little Angels is an accesscascadejobs.com investor. Greater Dubuque Development Corporation, Dubuque Initiatives, and Child Care Resource and Referral, some know it as CCR&R, of Northeast Iowa, have also secured a grant from the state of Iowa to administer a wage enhancement program available to all Dubuque County licensed child care centers that have child care assistance agreements with the state of Iowa. Up to $560,000 in state grant funds are designated to Dubuque County to be matched with $280,000 in local dollars from the greater Dubuque area employers. Akron Little Angels has submitted their application, and it is currently under review. And final thing I wanted to mention is our Next Gen survey. The board instructed Rick Dickinson, as I mentioned before, to survey the population of Dubuque County with an emphasis on 3 groups: high school seniors, college students, and young professionals under the age of 40. The purpose of the survey was to understand what young people want in a community and whether we are hitting the mark to retain that population, our current and future workforce and leaders. We had a number of responses from Cascade. In fact, both Cascade High School and Beckman Catholic High School had their high school seniors complete the survey, higher rate than some of the larger high schools in Dubuque County. We're fleshing out that data at present, so the numbers I'm about to give are preliminary numbers in the aggregate. In total, we have 2,061 responses. Of those, 1,540 are from those under the age of 40 years old. Among this group, the community factors that this demographic believes that we have for people here are: it offers the opportunity for people to be close to their family, short commute times, pet-friendly environment, great schools and education, and low crime rate. On the other side, we ask these folks, what do they most value in a community? And those factors were access to health care, quality health care, affordable home ownership, 2 things that were not mentioned in the previous list that I offered, and then great schools and education, low crime rate, and affordable quality rental housing. Again, important to that age group, but not mentioned as something we currently have. And then also, for quality of life factors, the 40 and under population believes that our community, our region offers the following: farmers markets, outdoor recreation in the form of fishing, boating, camping, and hunting, hiking and biking trails, and natural features for wildlife and landscape, and public parks and golf courses. On the flip side, what that population most desires in a quality of life: variety of restaurants, was not mentioned on the previous list, natural features, farmers markets, shopping in commercial districts, which was not on the previous list, and also hiking and biking trails. We also asked folks, are you considering staying in the greater Dubuque region? 61.1% said yes, 12.8% said no, and 25.1% said, I'm not sure. And among those that said they are considering living in another community than our region, the top answers were: number 1, Madison, far and away. Madison was number 1 among all the other communities that they listed. Second was Iowa City, Coralville, then Des Moines, Chicago, and Cedar Rapids. Other markets outside of Iowa included New York, Minneapolis, Florida, Milwaukee, and Texas. Our goal is to keep the yeses, to stay, obviously, and we also want to get the maybes. And once we have a chance to fully digest, we'll share more community-specific information, because I said there's a number of surveys from that list that were also Cascade-specific as well.
Jason, question for you.
Yes.
Is that data, like, do you have that, like, if I took it, I think you had to put in your zip code?
Yes.
Or something like that?
Yeah, zip code, that's
Would
how
we
we
be
know.
able to get
Yeah.
all 52033 data, if possible?
What was that
The
last part?
Cascade.
Would we be able to get, like, the true Cascade?
We had that conversation today. We had a in-depth conversation of how we can distribute that. The full board hasn't seen that data yet, and there's a lot of data to along with that, so, because there's also, there's age data, there's community data, right, so, and there's, rather than just hand over a bunch of data, we'd like to kind
Scrub
of
a
look
little
at
bit.
it, figure out, okay, what are the high points and stuff like that, so.
Okay.
So I think the goal is to get it out to the board, so the board can see it. We'll also be doing some media on it, and it will also present it to you as well, share it with you.
Perfect.
So, yes, so that certainly is the goal.
Perfect. Thank you.
Because I get, one example is, like our communities, like our schools, right? You track from several different communities, right? So when we asked Cascade High School students to fill it out, there's a number of students that filled out their zip code for Cascade, but obviously you have kids that attend from neighboring communities as well. So trying to digest all of that and share it. So that's preliminary information.
Can you provide that to economic development and maybe the chamber
Yeah.
as well?
Yep, for
Perfect.
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The last part I just want to say as I kind of conclude here that in support of those things, it certainly has not gone unnoticed that, Cascade is definitely working as a community on your own product, right? You're working on the quality of life, the sense of place, things that hopefully can take those maybes, do I want to stay here or not, and keep those folks here. So the variety of things that you're doing, we got a lead today from the state, actually utility partner. It was looking for a location for a high utility user, right? 150,000 gallons per day of wastewater, right? There are very few places, I don't even know if we're gonna be able to respond to that. But, so there's a lot of times we can respond to those, sometimes, a lot of times we can't. But one thing we all can do is, okay, what kind of a community are we, right? And so I think that's where, as we continue to build our economy, it also involves bringing people here. So that's the other part of this that's so important. So I just wanted to mention that, in recognition that Cascade is working on your community, making it an attractive place for people to move to and live as well. So I'm going to end there and see if there's any questions. Any other questions, I should say.
The only other question I had is, okay, so you mentioned the surveys you guys did for the stuff.
Yeah.
If you have the information from the Cascade businesses you guys interviewed, I know
Yes.
ECIA and the economic development already do some surveys, but if you guys wanted just to
Yeah, I think
add to what you guys
they
already-
probably have more surveys. For us, we have a handful of the larger employers. So, yes, we probably can. The challenge of that is we want to make sure we can present the information and still maintain level of confidentiality. And so if we have 6 larger employers that we visit with, and we send you the results of what they said, then depending on the answer, you might be able to discern who that employer is.
That's
So
fair.
that's where it's a little bit more difficult for us on a Cascade level than maybe it is for if you got a number, a couple dozen Main Street businesses, for example. So, but yes, the goal is to try to be as transparent as we possibly can without having an employer called out for one reason or another.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I guess one more.
You can just see me in the parking room.
I know. This is more for Brad. I guess, is there anything that we can help with, facilitate between you guys and Greater Dubuque as well, to make your guys' life easier and kind of work towards some of the things you guys are trying to?
I'll bring it up next up.
Okay, that works.
I'll give, or we're gonna segue to the next.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jason.
it.
Thank you, Jason.
Number 15, presentation from Cascade Economic Development Corporation. Brad?
Brad Ludwig, President of Cascade Economic Development Corporation. Jason, thanks, Jason, for your presentation. Greater Dubuque Development has been a great partner over the last long time, but really has been a stronger relationship over the last, I would say, 5 to 6 years. They've been more active in our community. They've done a great job. Jason's brought a couple leads, or, sent us out a couple leads that were, possibilities, I get to say. So it's been great to see them make Cascade a big priority of Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. And your question, so thank you, Jason, for all you guys do for Cascade, appreciate it. Your question was, now,
Is there anything else we can help facilitate
we gotta
strengthen that?
Jones County Economic Development Corporation also is a good partner of ours. Jason's, Greater Dubuque Development. So they do a good job of communicating with us through our, at our monthly meetings. And if they're not there, they let us know they're not gonna be there. So we have I feel like we have really good communication there. So thanks for offering, but I'm not sure if there's a.
Yeah, I didn't know,
Yeah, I appreciate that. So we're here, I'm here with Holly McPherson with ECIA, and 3 things I think we want to accomplish tonight. One, we've met in August a couple times, so give you an update, and then, give you a lot of papers. Holly's going to give you a lot of papers to look at, but give you an update. And originally, $10,000 has been approved, I believe, and then the additional $7,500. You guys asked us to originally come back in December, and I talked to Lisa based on the scheduling with the library and everything, and the length of the meetings, we pushed it back till this month, and then answer any questions you have. So, on our part, just an update on prospects. We've had 3 businesses or individuals interested in lots. One was for a future building, one was for a spec building, and one was for light manufacturing. Where we run into trouble is we don't have any lots available currently that are spade, ready, or level for construction. So we've been working with MSA on a conceptual plan for development of the ground out there, and hopefully our goal would be to be moving some dirt out there this spring, so that so we'll see how, that timeline plays out. We have some hurdles to face there based on limited funding, but that would be our goal, to have more spade ready ground. The other thing that that's been more of the focus on the land part of it, to try, some of the things that we've done since we met last time. We've helped with the design of the signage on both ends of the town. We paid for part of the banners. We've moved some dirt to level off a lot. We sponsored the KCRG Our Town, and the other big expense we always have is property taxes. So our expenses over the last 6 months have been a little over, or spent $20,730. So that's, some of the monetary parts of it. And then we've been working on a few other projects and I thought maybe have Holly talk about those projects. So
that, I did include kind of a budget, just a glance at 2023 for this fiscal year. So it is within that paperwork. So additionally, just letting you know, we did celebrate Manufacturing Month, which is the month of November. We really wanted to get high school students in our businesses that are basically in our backyard to see what Cascade has to offer. We worked with Kyle Weber and Ryan Fritz, both at the Cascade High School. Both were great to work with. Had 14 kiddos come, I should say high school students, not kiddos, I guess. They look like babies, but 14 of them came and did tours. So we did Weber Metals, and we had our former mayor give us a tour. And then also Cascade Manufacturing. So the students met there, talked to HR, whoever was, told them kind of the nitty gritty of the jobs available, kind of what the pay was, what they needed for training, if we can walk out of the high school and come into this work, or if I needed some special training or needed to learn how to weld or whatever it is. And then did a tour of each facility. And both Kyle and Principal Fritz they were very impressed and they want to continue it. So we thought we would continue this spring. I know we want to do kind of like a healthcare focus once like flu season's over with.
And maybe just like a professional careers, like go to Brad's office, I don't know, just come see Lisa at the city or whatever it is. But just kind of form a plan going forward on how we can get these kiddos in our, businesses in our backyard, because a lot of times they don't even know, they just drive by. So, and getting parents involved too, because a lot of times, sometimes they think their kids are going to a 4-year, maybe they're not cut out for a 4-year, maybe they're better, they want to, would do better in a manufacturing environment or, a trade. You guys are going to have a lot of transition of trades, a lot of, the plumbers retiring or the electricians retiring, all that stuff. So it's really important to have them know all this stuff, because they can make really good money. And that was one of the things they were really shocked at. Oh, we can make this much money here. So with college debt and all of that, it's just kind of a nice, alternative. So we also kind of recruited a couple of them to be on our board. That was one of the things in our strategic plan. We want to help our relationship with the schools. So that will help us with that, because now we'll have, basically direct communication. They'll be on our board and they'll be involved with all the decisions and that kind of thing. So that's really nice. They're very supportive of that. Additionally, our business calls, I just did the 2023, so we did give you an update in August, but included the rest of the calls on there for 2023. You can kind of take a look at some of the things that, stuck out, I guess, at the bottom there. Great, city services, big strength. A lot of questions about what's happening with the old library, what are we gonna do with that? And focusing on kiddos, like what we need some stuff more for kiddos, in this area. So I included that in the packet there. And then also just, obviously workforce is a huge thing as always, just trying to find employees to meet the demands and to be able to work. So, and that's everywhere, I swear. Childcare, of course, everywhere. But I know Lisa wrote a grant to help out with Little Angels, so not sure where that's at, but I'm sure it's moving along. So hopefully that'll help. And then also our training aspect, we did a TIF training just to help educate our board members on TIF, tax increment financing, just to give them an idea, because a lot of people just didn't know. I mean, our board is volunteers, so we wanted to educate them. That was held back in August. We also did an effective communication training December 4th with the businesses in Cascade, invited those individuals. And then also having an HR training January 25th. So we partnered with NICC for their trainers on those last two events. And then we also, for the TIP training, we partnered with Dave Heyer, who is a past city administrator, Jackson County Economic Alliance director, has had many years in the city life. So he provided us a training on that, and I think it turned out really well. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, I won't go through the PowerPoint. I basically updated it from August. But you can kind of just see, I know we have Chad is new, so I won't burn everybody else. But Chad, if you have any questions or anything like that too.
I think I have one. I think my daughter was on them tours.
Good.
And what do you have to offer for the young ladies in
Yeah.
Cascade? I mean,
Yep.
I know there's plenty of jobs, but I work in a manufacturing business, and we have one lady out in the shop. And then one in shipping, but I mean, what do we have to offer for the young ladies
I think
to,
she probably asked at Weber, she said, you guys are you hiring for an office worker?
Yes, stuff like that,
So, yeah, I know, yes.
Well, one of the things, I think, that's probably what I'm most excited about that happened in the last 6 months is the relationship that we struck up with the high school. Ryan and Kyle called up and we had a debriefing meeting for an hour after that, and it's more finding those opportunities to identify what kids at the high school would best meet these certain areas, whether it be in the medical field, the health services, or so we kind of came in with, okay, let's put this out there, and what's really exciting is to see them jump on board with it. The school is really, Kyle's mentioned, maybe we didn't do the best job of ever getting this out to the right individuals. We could have had more people there. So now they're on board. They're going to be at our board meetings, and the goal would be to build upon that, just not having the forming manufacturers in the community. What else is available in the communities, whether it be the banks or what happens in there. So I think that's a great opportunity for us. Back to what Jason said, is growing the population and keeping people local. How do we continue to educate individuals of what the opportunities are in Cascade, Iowa, behind the streets. So it's a work in process, Chad, but yeah, I think that it's a good question.
Even talking about school to work program.
Yeah.
Because back when I remember first coming out here, we met with Jim Vanderloo. Greg, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just haven't heard about it in a while. So we asked about that too, like how can kids get in and do school to work kind of stuff too. So, we'll,
Yeah,
another avenue we're looking into more.
And it's a great program at the high school. I think there's a lot of kids that benefit from it. I think it's definitely something that should be expanded upon as far as, because it really gives kids an opportunity to get out and, do I like construction? Do I like machining? They can really kind of get their hands in there and kind of see.
Like I want to be a nurse, but I'm afraid of blood, so.
Yeah, right. You might not know until you do it, right?
They want to be an engineer and they don't realize, I'm in Pryby working in a manufacturing facility. They don't understand that. It sounds good because the salary looks.
Or it might be the opposite, they get in there and they're like, I really like this. This is really cool, so.
And we did have a
there's that
few
option.
females working on the machining thing, so I was really impressed by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really like, wow. It's a whole new world now. It's not like it used to be, so. People picture manufacturing facilities as dirty, dusty kind of places, and they're just a whole new world now, so.
One thing you mentioned too, Holly, I know it kind of caught you a little off guard when she said they'll come to your office and have you talk, but like.
No, shadowing a day.
Yeah, but like even for me, like so I went for personal wealth management to be a financial advisor just like you, but like I didn't really know what I was getting into till I was 2 or 3 years into college. So I mean, being a senior in high school and actually seeing, and then I like seeing what the job actually entails, but I also feel like seeing somebody that's running a successful like self-made business, like I really do think that's good for kids to see and kind of understand what they can do too, because not all kids want to go work for a big.
Right, I agree. And we talked, Kyle mentioned that too, is maybe it doesn't maybe necessarily have to be a school to work, but is there employers that are willing to open their doors on a one-on-one basis, or can we get, if somebody wants to be, not to pick on myself, but be a financial advisor, what can they come visit for that day, or what does that look like, or, be in the banking industry, what does that look like for the day? So yeah, I'm excited because they definitely are, they have enthusiasm on their end and we have enthusiasm on our end, and I think good things can come from this.
So Brad, how will you go about like pushing this out to the community, to the businesses in the community? Because I don't know if you've even thought about this yet, but because I think like for our business, we'd be very interested in something like that, but how do we know that this is happening for the businesses? Because it's easier for the school because you're talking directly to Ryan or Kyle, and they're gonna disseminate it out to the students, but like how do you get in contact with the businesses?
So one of the ways we talked about when we do these surveys is to see what their level of interest is, how they feel about the school, and what their level of interest is as far as possibly would you be willing to help high school kids get involved. So that's I think what one of the changes we're gonna make on that survey is to see how are the schools supporting them, and then turn around and see if they would be willing to support the schools, to find out what businesses would be willing to, because some businesses obviously are not, going to be interested in it, but other businesses definitely will be completely engaged
But if
with
you're
it.
interested at this point, we can definitely note that, but the first two we just kind of used as guinea pig, we just okay, we have good relationships with both of those companies, we'll see if they're open to it, and they were, so.
And so it's kind of what, the first two were, like you said, a guinea pig, and now it's all of a sudden we're going this direction with it, which is kind of fun. And the thought process was, okay, let's show them some businesses in the community every trimester, but now it's kind of going to the next level of what else can we do beyond doing tours of the business, and how can we get the students tied into what they have academic, or interest in.
Well, I just think this is a fantastic idea. I love this because I think that it is, like you said, showing kids at the high school what we have for businesses in our backyard. Because, when you think of manufacturing, you're going to think of the big businesses, but there's a lot of little ones too.
Right.
And you have the smaller electricians and the plumbers and stuff like that, the hairdressers and the stylists and things. You know, so there is a lot of businesses in Cascade that I think could really benefit too, that are maybe understaffed, that could benefit from the school to work program, or getting kids in to show them like this is a really cool career. You know, and you don't have to go into massive college debt for everything.
Yeah.
Good job.
So that's, I guess those is kind of what, at a macro level, what we've been up to. So I guess the only other thing, I mean, one of the things, direction going forward is, I know you approved the 10,000, and we talked about coming back with the $7,500 possibly in December. But then, what is, whatever you do there, but what are your expectations from us, from the council going forward? I mean, is it a 6-month thing, or is it an annual thing? What are or more frequent? I guess we want to know kind of, because I felt like we were maybe on the same page 6 months ago, and I just want to make sure that we're on the same page going forward, so that we don't have that miscommunication.
I mean, I guess I was the one who requested more regular meetings. So I appreciate this. Again, I'm not able to come to your guys' meetings, so I don't really know what's all going on and all that. So I appreciate, I guess, these updates at least, because it kind of gives us an idea of what you guys are all doing. I mean, we can read the minutes, but again, that only has so much, yeah. So I appreciate that.
In all areas that we seem to be, as we kind of go on this trek of across the city into all the different facets that we're going in, the one thing that keeps popping out over and over and over again is that the more we sit down and meet, the more we talk, the more we're all informed, the more we do better together. Where it seems like if we got pockets off on their own and nobody's communicating, things happen, resentment, frustration, a lot of things bubble up. So I think this is productive, and I think it'll help all of us move in a direction that's useful. And so I think I definitely like to see it keep going, for sure.
I'd like to see the 6-month. I think that's been really beneficial for us as a council to be informed of what's going on.
Sure. We just want to make sure we're meeting your expectations on that end.
I agree. I think 6 months, because this is where we're starting our budget time right now.
Yep.
And 6 months from now will be our end of our fiscal year. So I think it'd be just a good opportunity to try to work with those times as well.
And it kind of gives everybody a little bit of time to think about things and write out a list of things we can meet upon and talk about. So I think it's good.
Mhm.
So.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
No, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Number 16, consideration of resolution number 02-24, annual appointments. You've seen them. Is there any questions? If there's no questions, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Motion by Delaney,
I'll second.
second by Roush. Roll call.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Number 17, consideration of resolution number 05-24, reappointment of Sammy Simon to
Thank
the
you,
Park
Jason.
Board.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Oliphant, second by Roush. Roll call.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Number 18, consideration of resolution number 03-24, appointment of official newspaper. Need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Roush,
Second?
second by Oliphant. Roll call.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Thanks, Brad and Holly.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Number 19, consideration of resolution number 01-24, approved DA Davidson engagement letter for library and Highway 136 general obligation debt.
So this is related to the fact that we'll be soon presenting documents to the council to borrow the funds that we need for Highway 136 and the library. Looking at a couple other sources of funding, but we want to get this engagement letter so they can start working towards it. And then, obviously, part of what we were waiting on is making sure we had the price for Highway 136 which we'll get in February. So they asked for this, and even though we use them all the time, I brought this to the council.
Lisa, I just have a quick question. In regards to 136, we have some funds from the federal government, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
For payment. That's projected at $640-some thousand, I think.
Yep,
What-
that's the,
What is that? What funds are already allocated? from
so
the-
you'll recall that we received $120,000 when I applied to get county funding. And remember, they helped pay for stormwater when I went to the county last May. So 120 of it will come from the county. And we also have, the official number was $175,000, was half of, remember you did about half of the money for Buchanan Street Alley. When we got about $350,000 of ARPA money from the federal government. So the 175 and 175, half of it is for Buchanan. I do believe that a lot of that, though, has been spent. Kathy and I will have to go back and we can run the numbers for engineering, but a lot of that went towards engineering. So we'll have to see how much is left. So it is going towards the project, but not necessarily the construction.
We
part
get
of it.
paid for engineering at the end, don't we? We get reimbursed?
Some of it,
Okay.
not all of it, though. So we can get you that number, though.
So approximately, where are you thinking we'll be at? Like 1.5?
We still have to wait and see if the county's willing to give us any sort of a loan for the library. So if they were to give us any loan dollars, it would be less, but if we didn't get that, yeah, I think that would be the high end.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Roush,
I'll second.
second by Oliphant, roll call.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Number 20, consideration of ordinance number 02-24, no parking on west side of Tyler Street Northeast from First Avenue to Second Avenue Northeast, and east side of Lincoln Street Northeast from First Avenue West to the alley by the jail. And this was previously numbered as number 20-23, and this is the final reading. Is there any questions about the no parking?
I do. Do we have signs ordered?
Not yet, because we probably won't be able to put them up.
Because the ground will be frozen.
Yeah, we'll see. There may be some signage that we can put on other poles for a bit,
Just trying to.
but we'll just do the best we can with it.
Being that the first snow falls tonight already. I
Yeah.
know. I know we wouldn't get sign. I know the mayor wouldn't go out and put signs up right
The
Is-
now.
mayor's gonna hold them.
What was the question?
You're gonna go on Lincoln Street.
Is there any way to get a hold of the people that normally park there to let them know?
I mean,
what's
the
going
Meyer,
on?
the biggest problem probably is right here more
Is-
than Tyler Street, and Myers know.
Yeah, okay.
I'm in contact with Nicole and Nate, so I could, ask them to at least let their tenants know. Like, I sent them both the notices today for no parking, so,
Okay,
for the emergency, but I can mention it to them.
gotcha, thank you.
Thank you.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Oliphant,
Second.
second by Delaney, roll call,
It was Chad.
or Gail.
You have to speak up.
Delaney. Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Number 21, consideration of ordinance number 01-24, and that's the burning ordinance, recreational burning only, and this is the second of three readings. If there's no concerns, I need a motion.
I just have a quick question. On the burning, item number 4, in regards to burning in M1, were we going to require them to contact Dubuque County?
That's just required outside of our requirements, so that is already required at the county level.
Okay, but it's never been done, I don't think.
Well, Bert
I
told
didn't
me.
know if it should be in the ordinance as well.
I mean, you can
Have it.
certainly add it if you'd like.
I would suggest it.
I know that Bert said it's required, 'cause he texted during the meeting last time when we brought it up, but
I'm just saying that that
Yeah,
would
I
at
mean,
least,
it's easy enough to add it in as a second reminder.
we can just add it right now if you want.
Okay.
So you want to say, I guess we can put a comma after M2 and then say, owners must
Notify.
first contact.
because I mean, both of those places are, that we mentioned before, are seen from the highway, and I think they get a lot of calls because of that.
So we'll say, owners must first contact Downey County Dispatch prior to starting any burning. Is that okay?
Yep.
That sounds great.
So when whoever's going to make the motion, just say it with that amendment.
I need a motion with the amendments on it.
So moved.
Motion by Delaney,
Second?
second by Oliphant. Roll call.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Number 22, consideration of resolution number 07-24, reconsideration to have police officers inspect snowy sidewalks.
So as I explained in the memo, we had had some conversations, kind of more individual conversations since the approval of the $100 and a part-time seasonal person. The Personnel Committee noticed a meeting and met with both Brad and Fred last week and would like to recommend to the council a change to that resolution from December. And we will try for this season to have them inspecting the sidewalks, doing the door hangers. And we'll see how it goes and reevaluate after this winter.
In talking with Fred and Brad, they said they already were doing this, sorry. They already were doing this, so just.
Not formally, kind of just
Not
as
formally,
a
yeah.
as-needed
So this will be a
basis.
more,
Directed.
yeah. So,
More deliberate around town as opposed to kind of
Yep.
certain.
There's
and,
no,
and they're already handling right now, when there was a.
when
fires
there's
and stuff like that.
snow, yeah.
So,
Yeah, it kind of fits, actually.
Yep. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Oliphant,
I'll second.
second by Roush. Roll call.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Number 23, set council meetings for the 2024 calendar year.
So do you guys, I don't know, since I've been here, we had 5 Mondays, so we haven't had to move Memorial Day. Do you want to do a different week, or do you just want to do the day after? Does anybody have an opinion on that?
I'm okay with whatever.
Whatever works for
Just do
everybody.
the day after?
Yes.
I was gonna say, I think that works best, just the next
So we'll
day.
just have it be Tuesday. And then do we think it's worked out okay to just have one December meeting?
It works.
It's kind of,
It's nice, because I
It's
feel like
big.
we have a lot of extra meetings in January and February, so it's
Right.
nice.
okay,
Mhm.
so then, I just want to put these on the website. So we would just need a motion to adopt these as our dates for the year.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Motion by Delaney,
Second.
second by Gale. Roll call.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Number 24, set budget meetings in February.
What does everybody think about, do we want to try and, I can't promise that everything will be short on the regular nights, because we do have like the, approving the contract for Highway 136, but do you want to try separate nights on other Mondays? We did that a little bit last year, and then we also stayed later on
After
the
meetings.
regular nights. What
Are
your
we
thoughts?
gonna meet with the department heads?
Mhm. Yeah, so that would be when they would come at some point.
Does it work better for them to come in prior to a meeting?
I mean, a meeting's a meeting, so whenever
Yeah.
we're gonna meet, then we're gonna figure out when they come, and I'll give them a schedule. I just need to know when you guys wanna be here first.
I'm gone the entire first week of February.
Okay. Do we wanna just stay late the second meeting the second Monday first,
Like that 12th?
on the 12th?
Do that for me.
Yep.
Mark that on a late night.
Yeah.
We'll try to keep it as short as we can. The other thing would be is if we wanna try and meet, depending on who can get back, if we wanna meet a little early, that would be the only other thing. Like,
It's up to-
even at 5:30?
For me, scheduling it, I'm already scheduled to be here, and I'm already here, so going later is always easier than coming in earlier.
Right.
Yep. Is that
Got
okay
it.
with
So you
everybody?
just keep it at 6 and go late?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
All
need
right, well,
a-
let's just schedule that one then. I don't even know if you really need a motion.
think you need a
I think you can skip a
We're
motion
okay.
there. Yeah. So let's just, everybody plan, mark off the night of the 12th, and then,
Okay. Reports. Fred's absent. Library design.
we
Nothing.
did have a pre-construction meeting with Garling, you'll recall as our contractor. They are setting all of their subcontractors right now. Kathy and I just got an email. She has to prepare tax exempt forms for all the different subs that will be purchasing things on behalf of the city, so they don't have to pay taxes. There was probably 20 companies, so they're definitely getting going, determining who all those subs will be. We we will plan on doing a groundbreaking sometime in March, so we'll let everybody know. Kind of wait on the weather. Could just be that we put a pile of dirt above the ground, and that's what we dig in with gold shovels, and obviously we'll want all of you to be there, so. Even if the ground is really frozen. So I think that's all I have for that.
And do you have anything?
Just hopefully snow. We had a good meeting with the mayor and staff this morning, the plow crews. Gonna try to collaborate between PD and Public Works. The guys will be out probably starting at about 4 a.m. As just reminding everybody, the snow emergency starts here in a couple hours at 9 p.m. Even though they won't be out that early, remember that part of our goal was to have the police department out ahead of the crews. So Fred will be coming out earlier than the crews to drive around and try to, make an attempt to knock on people's doors. So you may hear that there's kind of middle of the night door knocking, but that's why we try to do it at 9 p.m. so that people get in the habit of getting their cars off the street before they go to bed. So that we're not looking for people, but it may happen. We also kind of got everything organized for the sidewalk shoveling, reminding people 24 hours after is when it's expected to be done. Fred and Brad and any part-timers will be doing that. Ryan Shockamel is his snow removal work is the company that if there are any that are non-compliant after the second round that they get inspected, that's who will be doing it. So he's ready to go. Kathy and I went through just kind of how the billing will go and stuff like that. So that's probably our biggest focus right now. So hopefully it goes pretty smooth. And
as a reminder to people, it will be 48 hours after the end of the last snowfall, that if it's not done by that point, that's when Ryan will go around to houses that have been noticed already.
Correct.
And then they will be billed for his services.
Right, so bright orange tag is what you're gonna see on the front doors. They're door hangers, so that's what they would see. If they see that, they'd have another 24 hours from when that's hung. The time and date on the notice that's written there will be when they have until, so that would be that 48-hour point that Megan's referring to. And again, our goal is not to be billing these people, but to give you the price is, Ryan's price is $3 per foot. So even on a skinny 60-foot wide lot, the bill from Ryan would be $180. Plus we have that $50 fee that we assess to help pay for that. So that's a $230 bill on a skinny lot. So people really need to pay attention. And our goal was to make sure that if we're going through this to get you to do it, we want you to be able to hire somebody on a much, if they hire someone on their own, it's going to be cheaper than if we don't want it to become an incentive for us to drive around and have people do it.
Cheaper to hire the neighborhood kid.
Correct.
They're not available.
If anybody absolutely does not, if you hear of anybody that absolutely doesn't know somebody to do it, certainly have them contact us. We can try to get them in communications with people that we know do it, and we'll work with people. A couple other little things, the 2 houses up on Parkview Road, Street, they're just about completed. They'll be calling for inspections for their final inspections, and then they'll be up for sale. And I believe that they're gonna try and start the other 2 houses first thing in the spring, so those have gone well. The snow emergency, Fred posted 75 posters around area businesses. We have 3 TV stations, CBS 2, KWWL, and KCRG. I have a login to be able to post our closing, so all of them have been notified. KDST responded that they received it, and then we let local media, like the Pioneer and stuff, know, so.
I thought that the notices looked great today for letting people know.
Yeah, thanks. And then Brad's also, I think I emailed it to all of you, but there was the bright yellow sheets of paper that Brad's been going around town on the night shift. People have been parked on the streets, putting them on their windshields, just because we know those are, more pointed effort to say, hey, you're somebody that we can physically see parks on the street. So hopefully between all of those efforts, we have
That'll work.
little compliance.
So just for clarification, as soon as it's cleaned off, they can park?
No.
Does that include Main Street?
On the notice that we sent to all of you, it specifically says, don't assume that when it's done, that you can go back on, because especially with this storm, with all the blowing and drifting, we don't know when the guys are gonna have to go back out.
Does that include Main Street downtown?
So basically, the way that we've discussed it is that when businesses are open downtown, they're gonna do their best to clear it off when businesses are not open. So people call tonight. I think Fred said he got a call saying, hey, if we're watching the game tonight, can we be on, First Avenue? And yes, just don't keep it there overnight. So there's going to be a little bit more flexibility in the downtown area if you're at a
After it's
business.
cleared off downtown, people can park.
I mean, again, they risk, we're not saying it's okay to park, no.
So
If
there's no
bus-
I'm just trying to clarify, there's no parking downtown until.
If there's
Wednesday?
businesses open, we are lenient about it and are not gonna issue tickets for somebody that we can clearly see is there. But if you're a person who lives upstairs and 10 PM and the bars are closed because it's snowing and you're still out there, you're gonna get a ticket. So we chose not to write some exception for downtown. But Fred has always said with enforcement that we understand that we're not gonna shut down our downtown businesses for 36 hours.
That makes sense.
So if you're kind of in and out, like most people are not hanging out for 6 hours at a downtown business. They're picking up a pizza, in and out. Most of the time when you have these extreme storms, people are closing early anyway, so. It's not really,
I'm just wondering if I can park in front of my shop,
I would say,
or if somebody else can. I mean,
What are your hours?
Wednesday evening,
What's
Saturday
that?
mornings.
Yeah, so, 9 o'clock, you're closed, so, no.
I'm talking about during daytime.
Oh,
If I pull up in front of my shop and.
I mean, if it's been plowed, you're probably safe for a while. But if all of a sudden it's like crazy windy and it gets all blowy again, you just gotta try
I'm
and.
just trying to figure out what's
Right.
legal, or how we're interpreting that.
In the technical interpretation, it's not legal.
I have to find someplace else to park.
Yeah, like you could try to park in a city lot, may have to walk a little bit further.
Anybody coming downtown's got to park somewhere else.
But they can be in lots, parking lots. So they could park over by the city shop, kind of in that gravel lot. They could park in the tap rooms parking lot. People can park in city hall's parking lot.
I'm just trying to clarify it.
yep.
Understood.
I have 2 questions around snow. Or 1 question, 1 comment. First question, with our app, can we do push notifications?
What do you mean by our app?
Like, we have a City of Cascade app.
We do?
Yeah, go to the Play Store.
People like,
guys don't know this?
Who's ever educated me about that? I have no idea what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
there's an app.
We have a city, we literally have a City of Cascade app.
Never knew.
Didn't know that?
How would I know this? Who's ever talked about it ever in a meeting?
I've been on council for 2 years and had no
I never
idea.
knew.
Sorry, there's an app.
Kathy, did you know about this? No. Okay.
I guess we'll go to our Play Store.
Didn't you and I? talk
Mayor, do you
about-
have the app?
Well, I talked to you about that the other day.
You did. What? The mayor has not talked to me about an app.
I think it's just,
And nobody's gonna believe you either.
I think it's very just similar to our website.
So I know that we have
I don't
like,
go on it.
so anybody that signs up on the website, I know they push out notifications to them when we post things on the news page. But I don't know how that's different. I have no idea, so I guess I have to experiment, so no clue.
Mayor, do you know what an app is?
No, the
I know
last
how
one
to
was
spell it.
April 2023 was the last notification.
Is that a trick
The
question?
snow emergency was January 2023.
It's because of, I think it's the news. I don't know how that works, but Chantel had always told me that when we post something on the news page on the website. But I don't know if she maybe didn't do that today. Did you say there's one from a year ago?
Yeah, a year ago.
So we'll have to, I don't know, because who created this app?
It's with the website. It comes, it's
think it was part
tailored
of
with
it.
socks.
So yeah, I think it's when you post to a news page. Because the only reason that I even knew about that part, what I thought was always connected to the app or to the website, was that someone from one of the industries was like, hey, we never really get any notifications anymore. And I remember being like, what does that even mean? But I didn't realize it was like a phone app. I thought it was just that you like sign up for an email, like, hey, if you post on this site, but I'll have to remind Chantel to,
I apologize. I thought you.
it's okay.
Thought everybody knew, so.
This is
You'd like everyone to know out there
I
in
know, I'm like.
City Council Watchland, please get on your app store,
Yes, I would think we could.
Yep.
push notifications.
go to City of Cascade.
Yep, you can go
I
to
think
the
it's just on
Apple
the web.
Store or to the Play Store and.
I don't know that there's but it's not like you to go on a phone thing to push it. I think you put it on the website.
Yeah, if you can push the notifications through the app though, it's more likely to show up on there.
But I don't know what that means.
You
Like,
will, no, you on the city's end will push it on the website.
Website, yeah.
And then it gets pushed.
Is this something that can go out in their utility bills? Like a
No,
reminder?
because we have like 3 words.
But like, can we send out a little flyer with their utility bills that says like, download the Cascade app for all, like.
If we're gonna do
snow
like a
emergency-
That would
real
have to be like a
newsletter?
separate mailing because we only have that little square.
Because it's just a postcard.
Oh, it's just.
It's like 3 words fit on
Oh,
it.
it's postcard.
At some point, if there was like enough stuff that we wanted to get out to people, we could do like a newsletter and pay postage for 900 houses. And printing, like there's nothing wrong with that.
We can put a little reminder on the Facebook page too. That picks up
Mhm.
a lot of people.
We'll look into it, but
I
I'm
mean,
pretty
this is-
sure.
It's neat. Now
I
that
just
I
don't
have
know.
it.
Anyway, we'll investigate more and report back.
Public comment, you have a limit of 3 minutes per person and only items on this agenda.
I have a question. Are there no budget meetings in January?
It'll be staff working on it then.
But, I mean, can you submit a request or something in
Sure,
January?
just to me though, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I know we've already talked about your garden stuff unless there's something
Yeah,
else.
well, but also, I wanted to give some sort of philosophical ideas about budgeting at a budget meeting when it was germane.
Right. There would be
No,
nothing
not-
wrong with you if you had something that you wanted me to put in the packet, you could certainly do that. And then
Okay.
you could speak under public comment at the next meeting, so it'd be in January.
Okay.
Thanks, Shirley.
Thank you. If there's nothing else for the betterment of the community, I need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Hush,
I'll second.
second by Roush. All in favor?
Aye.